Welcome back to the Fourth Dimension Explained, Part 2. Dimension, our karma begins to manifest itself in one of two ways, either in situational events in our lives or through the manifestation of illness or disease within the body. Here's in the body, it's actually karma trying to resolve itself, and I call it an external expression of an internal repression of your subconscious mind. If you ignore those subconscious cues to resolve some karma, it's going to manifest as a physical illness or disease until it gets your attention to work through the karma. So in astrological terms, different transits between the planets bring out different health issues in our life. So we can see that there's an issue to work and we need to resolve the karma. Or we can move into higher consciousness thoughts and energies that will allow us to rise above the fourth dimension. And that's where Jupiter comes in. So right now for all of us, Uranus is actually transiting Aries, the natural first house of the zodiac wheel. If you have been blocking the revelation that Uranus provides, the out-of-the-box shocking revelation, fifth dimensional ideas that Uranus wants to provide you to find your individual path to freedom, you've been getting migraines or headaches for probably the last 3.5 years now, off and on at different times. That's an example of how these transits work in our lives. So Saturn's energy is integral to the fourth dimension, where we are dealing with karmic resolution. Our most notable karmic fear usually manifests itself as cancer. That is Saturn's domain. Saturn rules our skeletal structures, our bones, and our largest organ, the skin, as well as our body's ability to defend itself. When Saturn moves into the 12th house, which is ruled by Neptune, we have dissolving of structures. Neptune dissolves and ends, and Saturn is the structures of our body and our world around us, our seen world. When Saturn moves into the 12th house, people are often diagnosed with cancer. When people tell me they've been diagnosed with cancer, I go ahead and tell them the exact date they were diagnosed, because that's when Saturn enters their 12th house. This is where they literally fight their karmic fear to save their own lives. Now, we have a whole huge physical reality that is built around managing our karmic fear. The whole cancer industry is doing nothing more than helping us defeat our third dimensional fear so that we can conquer it and move into the fifth dimension. But the process is long and arduous, as many people who have been through 30 rounds of chemotherapy can. So when we see our karma manifest, either we end up in jail, go to court, have to have surgery, or we're diagnosed with cancer, there are two paths that we can take to try to resolve the karma. The first one is to, we tend to want to go see a professional, medical professional, psychiatric professional, or referred to somebody in the physical realm that's going to fix us. Or the second path is to seek some sort of higher consciousness, some faith, or some new philosophy, or some big picture idea that allows us to see what is really going on and work our way through the karma that way. Which path you take, whether you decide to go seek professional help, or you go see a pastor, or you go to church and you learn to pray, or even you learn to meditate, if you don't really do the internal resolution of consciousness with the help of Jupiter, which I'll explain in a minute, you will fall back into 3D by keeping your focus on just the physical world. Once we start to resolve our karma, we start to see that there's a big picture going on here of what this process is and why it's so powerful for us. And it's at that point that we awaken our higher consciousness. And a lot of people arrive at higher consciousness by starting to pray. They go to a church when things get so bad in their lives, or they seek out some other means of belief systems. That's really a gateway to experiencing Jupiter's energy. Jupiter is expansive, good fortune. You feel like great wherever Jupiter is in your chart. If you have Jupiter in your first house or transiting your first house, you understand his expansiveness, because he will expand your waistline most of the time. Jupiter is considered good luck. And we certainly, when we move into his higher consciousness, we have a chance to begin to leave the fourth dimension and move into the fifth dimension. At some point in the fourth dimension, you're going to be dealing with Jupiter coming into your life in conjunction in some sort of aspect to your subconscious mind. Now, Jupiter rules optimism and good fortune. He is a healing planet, but he also expands whatever he touches. When you have an aspect from Jupiter to your Neptune, if you haven't dealt with all your subconscious fears, Jupiter is going to expand those. If you were an alcoholic or you've struggled with alcoholism or sexual addiction or drugs of any sort or simply avoidance, malingering, you're always sick, Jupiter is going to expand that behavior when you have it in a tough aspect to Neptune. And you're not going to get out of the fourth dimension until you have mastered what Jupiter's real energy with Neptune should be in a fifth dimensional sense, which would be to give you the faith to overcome any fear. To ascend or rise above the difficult energies of merging Jupiter and Neptune in challenging ways, we have to devise our own higher consciousness thinking that allows us to arrive at our own path out of the karma, out of the fourth dimensional yo-yo of the pain versus pleasure, of resolving the karma and then finding ourselves still dealing with trying to find a new way of operating. Once we get used to Jupiter's energies, we can apply those philosophies, but it takes a while before we really believe those philosophies. But it's interesting that Jupiter encompasses both pastors and spiritual leaders, as well as all the scientists. When you've begun to master the combined energies of Neptune and Jupiter, you might find yourself falling into one of these loose categories, both of which are using the same planetary energies, and both are looking for soul awareness, which is 5D consciousness. Christ said, or the Bible says, except a man be born again, which would be reincarnated, or in their terms, resurrected, he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. Unless you can recall your past lives, you can't fully see what all of this consciousness existence really is. That would be soul awareness. Anyone battling an addiction or trying to have faith that things will get better know exactly how hard it is to stay stable in that situation where Jupiter and Neptune are first encountering one another. Jupiter can expand our addictions, and Neptune can make us go back into fear very easily, hard to hold on to our faith. This is the yo-yo effect of the fourth dimensional mind, fourth dimensional consciousness, and what I associate with the limbic brain. In 4D, we are all over the map, so to speak, as we attempt to find our way out of our fallen 3D state. We will do major yo-yoing back and forth as we first attempt to resolve karma while also trying to find consciousness to elevate us out of our karma. Once you've resolved your karma, at least in one area of your life, and you feel healed, the first natural thing that most people want to do is they want to begin preaching the steps that they took, praying, taking medicine, having surgery, seeing a therapist, or natural healing modalities. They want to preach that solution to other people. The point is, when we put our trust in the physical action that we took, we lose sight of the actual process of karmic healing that we need to do internally that actually allows us to resolve the fourth dimensional karma and move into the fifth dimension. Hi, I'm Beth at 5D Astrology on Facebook, YouTube, or 5dastrology.com. I have plenty of other videos that you might be interested in that explain fifth dimensional astrology and the fifth dimension in general.